It's recording. Yes. Okay. Welcome to Witching Hours podcast. I am your resident crone, and my guest today is Jimmy Yen, the acupuncture guy of Achieve Integrative Health in Cedar Park, is it?
Yes.
Cedar Park.
Cedar Park.
So let me just welcome you, Jimmy. Let's see, I think I did that wrong. Okay, here we go. Welcome, Jimmy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Regina. This is an awesome experience for me, so excited to be here.
I'm so glad that you're here. And I wanted to start right off. Could you tell us a little bit about Achieve Integrative Health?
Yeah. So Achieve Integrative Health is a mixture, a fusion of traditional Chinese medicine and a little of Western medicine. Not that we practice Western medicine, but we utilize Western medicine technology. And so it's a fusion of how to use Chinese medicine and Western medicine to help our patients get better. And it was born, in 2007. And currently we have 2 locations, one in Cedar Park and one in Central Austin.
Wow, and here, we can talk about it together like this now.
Yeah.
Would you say that most of your clients, do they tend to be like native Austinites, or is it like a
I would
diverse
say
community?
it's mostly Austinites. It depends, because recently with the California move,
Right.
we're seeing a lot of California people as patients, so we see a lot of those.
And I'm from the East Coast. I'm here less than 2 years, and
Okay.
and I have found that, like, I had Chinese doctors
Yeah.
in New York City,
Yeah.
and when I come here, as Witching Hours, like, we're always looking into herbal remedies
Yes.
and preventative measures that you can take
Yes.
to be proactive
Mhm.
in healthcare, and it just seems that Chinese medicine is way ahead of a lot of Western, but you integrate it. You integrate
Yes.
both
Yes.
Eastern and Western.
We practice the Chinese medicine part, but we utilize Western medicine technology like labs, imaging. These tests are actually, they help and for us to prescribe Chinese herbs.
That's so important, and of course, it brings us to the topic today,
Yes.
which we're filming on the 14th of March.
Uh-huh.
So the coronavirus is at the top of everybody's headline list,
Yes.
and it may be different. Like, we'll keep running this program as time goes on, and things may change.
Yeah.
But right now, let's address some of the immediate issues
Yeah.
that people are facing, as well as some long-term solutions or concerns that
Yeah.
you might have.
Oh, definitely.
So is there something that media, in your opinion, is missing right now as far as the information that's being shared?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So one of the things being, I have my network of Chinese medicine practitioners, and one of my friends who owns an herb company in California, she actually talks to physicians and currently in China that are treating the coronavirus. And so we're getting some feedback, and this is of course not publicized in the media.
No.
Of course not, right? But what they're seeing is that they actually have made it where majority, I think close to 90% of the patients are getting Chinese herbs in conjunction with some antiviral medications. And here's the thing is that the media is leaving out is that they are seeing a huge success rate. So when they add Chinese herbal medicine to treat this coronavirus patients, they're seeing an 80 to 90% improvement in those patients.
Now here's the dangerous question.
Yeah.
Can you share any of those herbs that they find effective?
I can. Yes, I can.
We're not making any claims,
Yeah,
but
not making any claims. Yeah. First, let's make a disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
We are not making any medical advice here. We're not suggesting you not receive medical treatment.
Yeah.
We're just saying what the information that we're getting. Okay. And so here's a beauty. To answer your question, I need to explain how Chinese herbal medicine works.
Yeah.
So Chinese herbal medicine is not like you have a virus and you take herb A or herb B, and herb A and herb B will kill the virus. That's not how Chinese herbal medicine works. Chinese herbal medicine is what we have to differentiate. So we treat the patient. So even though there's thousands of people getting the coronavirus, but the way that it's reacting with their body and affecting their body is different. And so you have to treat that patient, and therefore the herb prescription usually, I would say majority of the time, is different. So out of those like 10,000 cases, a lot of them get different herbal medicine.
And so what would, like, for example, we're hearing that
Yeah.
if you're over a certain age, it seems to hit you particularly hard.
Yeah.
Is that one of the elements that they look into?
Yes, because over the 50 years, that's what they're saying, 50 years old, right? Is most people, at least here, in the U.S., they have some other pre-existing conditions,
Oh, yeah.
and it's kind of like past virus infections where it wasn't the virus that killed the people. It was their other conditions.
Uh-huh.
All the virus did was just lower their immune system. It was like a trigger that lowered the immune system, and then those other, like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, some type of autoimmune disorder, those were triggered to act up, and those ended up killing the patients.
And actually, haven't we heard that with some of the earlier medications that were used for coronavirus?
Yeah.
That it was affecting people's hearts.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't the virus itself.
No.
No.
So and there's no medical treatment for the virus right now.
Right.
And so that's the key missing information, is that in China they're using Chinese herbal medicine, which is 3,000 years old, and I'm not going to use the words, the C word, but they are restoring people's health, and people are walking out of those quarantine areas and they're healthy again.
Do they find it makes a difference to use, like, proactively some of these herbs before you show symptoms of the virus?
Oh, definitely, because it's about why. Because how come not everybody was affected by the virus, right? It's just like the flu. Like, we talk about coronavirus, but the flu is killing more people. The flu is killing like 500,000 people across the world in the same time frame as the coronavirus, right?
I'm supposed to be asking the questions here,
Oh,
but
sorry.
no, that is a really, really good question. I'm wondering that because we have flu season. We
Yes,
know the
we're in
flu
the flu
happens
season.
every
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So what's the big deal with coronavirus?
Yeah, so I mean, let me give you a little background. My bachelor's was I did my bachelor's at UT Austin. It was in biochemistry, so I do have a little medical background, but I am not the expert, and I don't want to claim to be the expert of the coronavirus. But it's the virus it's a different type of virus, and viruses evolve, and if it's not the coronavirus, it's going to be the Bud Light virus next. Okay,
Right.
It's going to be another virus that's coming out. Okay,
Corona
so,
will be so happy to hear
exactly.
that.
And so these viruses are constantly changing. So what we have to do to prevent, to use these herbal medicine, old remedies, we call them old folks medicine, or so, but they're true medicine because they're still here, because they still work.
They've used
right?
them for 3,000 years.
Exactly.
They're here for a reason.
They're here for a reason. If it didn't work, we wouldn't be using them, right? And they're used for the coronavirus. Every single patient now, close to 100% of patients are getting those herbal medicine. And China is actually sending those medicine to Italy right now, because Italy is right now the biggest hub of
Did it
right
offer
now.
it to the U.S. and we refused?
I don't know yet. I haven't gotten information about that. But I know the U.S. is not talking about it.
No.
Right?
No.
Yeah, because the U.S. is just behind in regards to Chinese medicine and acupuncture and so forth.
And now, have you heard anything, through the rumor mill, we're hearing there may be more than one strain of coronavirus.
Yes, it's like a category of SARS. They're classifying it. Yes, there's not enough data right now. Like the CDC, you go to the CDC website, you go to WHO, the World Health Organization.
Right.
There's not enough data right now to say what's what.
And I have been talking to friends, and I actually may fall into this category myself.
Okay.
About 3 months ago, I had what I thought was the flu.
Yeah.
But a lot of the symptoms are exactly what they're describing for coronavirus.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how long it's actually existed in our country here?
That I don't know. I haven't read any research or data about it yet. So
have you heard any people, because I've heard a number of people say, well, myself included,
Yeah.
maybe I'm okay, I think I've actually already been through this.
Yeah.
Because I remember at the time thinking, why does it feel like I'm almost drowning? Why am I having trouble? Why do I have a dry cough? This isn't like flu that I've had in the past.
Yeah.
But if indeed people, like if we thought it was the flu, but
Yeah.
it turned out to be something else,
Yeah.
there's really, no one's been tracking that, so.
Yeah, no, and if we can just compare, some more like the common cold, right? The common cold is a virus. It's a virus,
Yeah.
right? And the flu, how many strains of flu? Why does the flu vaccine keep on changing every single year? Because the flu virus keeps on changing. So it is possible. I would say it's possible. I mean, how are they going to track it? I have no idea.
No, at this point especially.
At this point, we don't know, just because the president just I think yesterday allocated resources to test for more tests of the coronavirus.
And declared a national emergency.
Yeah, exactly.
Which hasn't been done yet. And as you say, the tests, I think New York State now has the largest count of cases. This is March 14th, so they have 421. Who knows what it's going to be a month from now? Yeah,
New York, California, and Washington are the three biggest areas right now in the U.S.
But I think every state except for West Virginia,
I don't know.
which, I don't know if they don't have any cases or if they just haven't tested anyone.
Yeah, exactly. It could be that.
And so now, what do you recommend people do at home? How can they protect themselves from getting it, or
I'm just looking at my notes
especially if we
here.
don't have like a Chinese medicine case?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that people do, and I've got 5 tips. I prepared 5 tips for everybody.
Oh,
okay?
I'm going to give you a close-up for that.
Okay. So the 5 tips. I got 5 tips on how to protect yourself and your family. The first one, it's going to be something that most people aren't expecting, okay? And these tips I'm going to share with you is not going to be like, oh, boost your immune system. Everybody's saying the same thing, boost your immune system.
Right.
I'm going to tell you a little different, okay? That's how I do things in my clinic. That's why we're the largest acupuncture clinic in Austin, because we do things differently and we get great results. The number one thing is you got to change your attitude. Number one thing to prevent the coronavirus is to change your attitude.
What, get rid of the panic?
Yes. So you want to focus on, what you put into your brain is going to manifest in your body, right? We all know, how we think. So for example, if I told you to close your eyes and just imagine, imagine that you have a lemon right in front of you, okay, and you have a knife in your right hand and you slit open that lemon and you cut it and you see all that juice just squeezing out of that lemon.
Can I look at the lemon, or do I still have to have my eyes closed?
You can
look at the lemon.
You can look at the lemon. Yeah.
But I'm going to cut my hand.
And then squeeze, and then you use your left hand to squeeze that lemon. You see all that juice coming out, right? Most likely what's happening is you're starting to salivate already, right?
Yeah.
But you don't physically have a lemon in your hand.
Right.
It was all created by your mind. And that's my point, is if you don't change your attitude, if you change your attitude, you can change how your body functions. So that's the number one thing, is to put positive things into your mind and not focus on negative things, like panic, like I don't have enough toilet paper.
Toilet paper.
Exactly, right? So that's the number one thing.
My anxiety level just went up like this.
Exactly.
I tried 3 stores yesterday.
You see? So you focus on putting what you can do. Focus on what you can do and what you should do instead of what you can't do. And that will change. If you change your brain chemistry, it will automatically change your physiology.
So it can actually affect your immune system?
Yes. Just by changing, you don't have to take any type of supplement, you don't have to eat any type of thing, you don't have to use toilet paper, and you can change your immune system just by the way you think.
Wow, but I like my supplements, but
We'll get to the supplements, we'll get to it. But these are tips, that don't cost any money.
Right.
Everybody can do this.
Yes.
Everybody.
And I think most of our friends who are listening now, if they've been rushing for toilet paper, they can identify with this.
Yes.
Okay.
And the second thing, again, this is something different. You want to restore your organ functions. Now, boosting your immune system is part of it, but boosting your immune system is not all of it. Okay. Why do some people contract the virus and some people don't? Because all those people that were in Wuhan, China, not all of them got it. Right?
That's right.
How come? Right? So those people, it's because those people's organs were stronger. They were functioning. They were at optimal health. Right? So instead of focusing on just the immune system, we should be focusing on every single organ in our body.
How can we test?
Great question. Great question. So this is where, how we fuse Western medicine, Chinese medicine. Western medicine does have blood tests. Blood tests are very valuable information. Do they tell us everything about our health? No, they don't. They give us a piece of the puzzle. And then we have what in our clinic, something we do is called functional pulse diagnosis. So functional pulse diagnosis was discovered 3,000 years ago. And so 3,000 years ago, they didn't have x-rays, MRIs, CTs, blood tests. So they needed a way to figure out what's going on in your body. Why isn't your body healing itself? So they found out that different sections of your radial pulse actually corresponds to different organs in the body. And since there's blood flowing in the pulse, right? When patients come to our clinic, I can feel the blood that's getting pumped to all their different organs. And it gives me another clue as to how each organ is functioning. So I use that information, and then I use the blood tests that they bring from their Western medicine doctor, and I combine those, and then I narrow down which organs are not functioning.
And that's when you prescribe the
Herbs.
Chinese herbs.
Yeah, we'll do herbs, and we also do supplements. We do herbs, supplements, diet is huge, and we use those to help restore their function.
And now I asked a question just before we started, because I don't mind boiling chips and things for hours.
Yeah.
I don't care what it smells like.
Yeah.
The worse the better as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But you were saying technology has really...
Technology has improved for Chinese herbal medicine. Instead of having to cook it in a pot, clay pot, for 30 minutes, okay? Now they've improved the technology of how they extract the herbs, the active ingredients in the herbs, and it comes into a little powder now. So the powder, all you have to do is just mix it with warm water, stir it, and drink it like a tea.
Wow, that makes it a lot easier.
Yes.
Okay, number 3.
Number 3, here's a big one, decrease inflammation. So inflammation is the cause for all chronic degenerative diseases. So if you can do things that can decrease inflammation, that will decrease your chance of contracting the coronavirus, right? So simple things, how do we decrease inflammation? Well, supplement-wise, this is what we recommend. We usually recommend some type of fish oil, so omega-3, right? They're also, since I specialize in treating neuropathy, nerve problems, we also recommend something called alpha-lipoic acid. It's an anti-inflammatory. I mean, there's turmeric, there's curcumin, all of those can help. But the key focus is to decrease inflammation. And another way of how to decrease it is to not put things into your mouth that will cause inflammation.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Because the American diet, especially if it's heavy in processed foods,
Yeah.
is the opposite of anti-inflammatory.
Yes,
It's
it is
inflammatory.
an inflammatory diet.
Yes.
The SAD diet is an inflammatory diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely want to do things, do the opposite of the SAD diet. That's a good way a simple way of doing that, okay? What you can do is you want to, also, there's sensitivities. Some people are sensitive to foods. So you want to reduce the foods that you're sensitive to, and because those, if you're sensitive to, that means you're going to generate inflammation, right? There's common inflammatory foods like dairy. Dairy does not do the body good. It actually does the body bad, okay? So dairy is inflammatory, excess sugar, and like you said, processed food. For some people, soy, they're allergic to soy, okay? I eat soy every single day. Now I eat organic soy.
Me too.
Yeah,
I
not
think
genetically
that's the big
modified. Genetically modified will give you that estrogen disruptor, right?
Right.
Soy, there's people that are allergic to peanuts, right?
I'm so glad I'm not allergic to peanuts.
Yeah.
I love peanut butter.
And there's also people allergic to gluten, right? There's also people allergic to the tomatoes. It's escaping my brain.
I know what you mean.
Nightshades. Yes, nightshades. Nightshades. So those are the most common inflammatory food sensitivities. If you know you're sensitive to them, obviously don't eat them.
Right.
Because that's going to increase inflammation.
And let me add to that question, which is a slight bit of a tangent, but getting back again to inflammatory processed food.
Yes.
When you mentioned sugar, like real sugar compared to high fructose corn syrup,
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's almost a health food, because high fructose corn syrup, this is something I used to work with Heifer International, and some of the worst food, it's not so much a food desert. Well, like I said, it's a food desert. It's not so much that you can't get food, but there's no nutrition in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you have, say, sodas or sweetened beverages or any type of food that is sweetened with high fructose corn syrup as opposed to regular sugars, because the body doesn't recognize it as food.
Yeah, because it's a chemical.
It's a chemical.
Yeah.
And so it's being
It's
stored
foreign, yeah.
in, so you see people who are not necessarily obese, but that look very overweight
Yeah.
because their body is storing this, whatever this substance is that
Yeah.
it doesn't recognize as food.
Yeah.
And I very rarely hear this discussed. I hear a lot of people saying don't eat, high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
But as far as that being even worse, as far as inflammation is concerned, than sugar, which is not great.
Yeah. And sugar, even the natural sugars, you want to keep them low, especially during this time,
Yeah.
right? But there are good sugars, and I'm not referring to fruit sugar either. Now, fructose is poison, but that's why you have to eat the fruit as a whole, right? But that's the general concept is you want to make sure you decrease inflammation, because inflammation, I like to define inflammation as retention of waste. Okay, so if you
Perfect way to
imagine,
describe it, yeah.
if you don't poop for 1 month, how are you gonna feel? Pretty
Okay.
crappy, literally, right? Literally, right? So if your organs don't poop, which is decreased inflammation, then they're retaining poop in the cells. How do you think they're gonna feel, and how do you think they're gonna act?
Not happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why you want
Inflamed.
to decrease the inflammation.
What about fasting, or even short-term fasting?
Fasting is good. There's intermittent fasting. That's
Right.
kind of the craze right now, right? Intermittent fasting is good. You shouldn't do it long term, but I would say short term and intermittently, episodically. Then it's a good thing, because when you're fasting, that triggers autophagy,
Yes.
right? And
But only after, is it 12 hours?
It actually it depends.
Oh.
It depends. I would say the best gauge that you will know that you're triggering autophagy is when you feel a little hungry when you're fasting. It's
All
during
the time.
so when you're fasting and you feel that little hungry, don't succumb to the hunger. Drink some water and push through it, and because that is the time where you're really cleaning yourself, cleaning your cells.
And I guess that's it too, when to recognize when it's real hunger as opposed to just, I usually eat 3 snacks a day in between meals.
Exactly.
And so I'm missing that, yeah. Oh, okay.
It's hard. But that's definitely number 3.
Okay.
And number 4, here's
Yes.
another one. Increase oxygen. This is like again, we prescribe herbs, we prescribe supplements in our clinic, but there's something that is readily available for everybody. Doesn't matter what economic status you are, you can just walk outside and get some oxygen. So oxygen is the number 1 nutrient our body needs.
Okay, that brings up more than one other question.
Okay.
We have less oxygen in the atmosphere now than we did 150 years ago. Actually, in China, I believe the quality of the air has gotten much better since the outbreak of the virus.
Okay.
Because a lot of factories shut down.
Okay, yes.
So they're not pumping all
that
of
makes
this
sense.
carbon dioxide into the air.
Yeah.
And so how do you quantify the quality of the air that you're breathing, and how do you actually increase your oxygen intake?
That's a great question. I'm not sure how you can quantify it. That I don't know. But what I do know is I was watching this show. They were doing some research on the air quality in LA. So this was probably 10 years ago, and when LA was just one of the worst polluted cities in the U.S. I think Houston was number 2.
You're not as old as I am. You should have seen LA and New York City, like before the 1970 marches when they changed.
Yeah.
It was smog all the time.
Okay.
Probably like parts of China now.
Yeah. So 10 years ago,
it was bad.
It was still bad, but not as bad as back then. And so they did an air quality test, and they were trying to see, was it more, was the air quality worse outside of your house or inside your house? And guess what they found?
Inside?
Inside was worse in LA. So that leads me to believe, Texas is pretty good. In Austin, we're pretty good, right? We don't have that much pollution. So that means to believe all you got to do is get out of your house. Get out of your house, breathe the air, go into the trees and just breathe.
Maybe get some houseplants too. Improve the air quality in your house.
Yes. But we use so many chemicals, that's the problem, that we don't see, and we're so used to it that we don't smell anymore. So getting out of your house, getting to the nature, that's where you're going to get some high quality oxygen.
Right.
And so that's the first thing. Before you do any type of nutrient, any supplement or herbs, get some oxygen first. Oxygenate your cells. Oxygen is the number one nutrient to improve your immune system. Every single cell in your body needs it.
Well, that's right. What's the old saying? It's like you can go for 2 weeks without food. Like a couple of days without water.
Yeah.
But just a couple of minutes without
oxygen. Exactly.
Ah.
It's the number one nutrient. And I say this a lot because, again, I treat a lot of nerve damage in patients. And so the way that we help them restore and regrow their nerves is by supplying more oxygen to their nerves. And it starts to regrow. Yeah. So this is the power of something that is readily available. We need to take advantage of that.
Not just walking and breathing, but maybe adding certain forms of aerobic exercise, or even just walking, to just increase the oxygen intake, but also
oxygenation of your lungs into your red blood cells. Yeah.
And now, what are we up to now?
Okay, we're at number 5. Okay.
I know I can spend 3 hours here today.
I'll go through these quick. This one most people know. Sleep and rest.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my favorite, but I need more of it. Okay. Sleep and rest. It's when the time when you heal is when you sleep. So if you're not sleeping, you're not healing. So now that people are in spring break, the number one thing you need to be doing is sleeping and resting, not going out and partying. It's sleeping and resting.
Right, and actually, my son works for Apple, and they send everybody home. They're working from home now. And I hear that's true of IBM and a number of the different big corporations. And it actually does help. I think it lowers anxiety levels.
Oh, yes.
Just not to have to commute.
Yes.
Just that one bit that is taken out of the equation.
Yeah.
But do you have any good advice? I love valerian. It's one of my favorite things. Like to go to sleep at night. Valerian.
Valerian.
Yeah, it's unlike what's the other one? The one starts with
melatonin.
Yeah, melatonin. It doesn't work for me at all.
Well, I caution people on doing melatonin.
Ah,
melatonin is like self-medicating with hormone therapy.
Oh.
Because melatonin is a hormone.
Oh.
And then when you even though it's over the counter, when you put that into your mouth, and you're disrupting your hormone balance. So you got to be careful with melatonin.
I don't like it. You can't get addicted to valerian because it smells so horrible. But oh my gosh, it doesn't help you go to sleep, but
it calms you down.
Calms you down. Apparently it's good for the digestion, and it just gives you really deep sleep, and so you just sleep right through.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but that's my advice. What was your advice for getting a good night's sleep?
I would say if we're talking about supplement, calcium.
Oh yes.
Okay, or any type of minerals. So in Chinese herbs, we use minerals to help people sleep because minerals are heavy, so they sedate. And when they sedate, they calm. And calcium actually literally calms your nerves. Literally. We use that for neuropathy patients. It literally calms your nerves.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So so that's 5. And I know we're almost out of time. I could actually, do you have any last, I just put the camera on you, do you have any last bits of it? Because I have like 5 more questions.
Yeah, I know.
You'll have to come back again.
Let me just finish with, about the panic right now.
Yeah.
When you're going to the grocery store, what do you need to buy? Food and water.
And toilet paper.
Not toilet paper. Yes. Toilet paper is like all the way down, right? Food and water, okay? You need food and water. Outside of oxygen, you need water. More than 60% of our body is water.
Wow.
Not toilet paper. It's water.
But not all bottled water.
Yes, not all bottled water. I went to the Randalls and I got the alkaline water. What is that? Fiji water.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I got
like
alkaline.
Pellegrino. I like the sparkling water. It's got minerals.
Minerals.
That'll help me
Yes.
sleep.
Both of them have minerals in it. So instead of panicking and trying to get some toilet paper, focus on getting some food and water.
Food and water and sleep. Food, water, and
Yes.
sleep. That's very good advice as far as I'm concerned. Right. Well, I want to thank Jimmy Yen so much for coming, and thank you for the acupuncture guy from Achieve Integrative Health. This is your crone of Witching Hours. Thanks for visiting us, and we'll be back soon. Thanks.
Thank you.